The judiciary is actually captive to a group of people who we used to call the pro-ICC NGO brigade. That sounds, even when I make that statement, it sounds so dramatic, but that's actually what has happened. We have had a group of people who have been interested in ensuring that Uhuru Kenyatta never became president. They started before 2013. They went to court, it failed. He ran for president in 2013, he won, they petitioned, they failed. They went after him on the ICC, it failed. So now we have actually seen what can only be called a judicial coup, where the Kenyan people have decided that they want Uhuru Kenyatta as president. And then the Chief Justice, without explaining why, has decided that that election was not fair, it needed to be redone again. And the challenge is that, assume this was done again, the next election is also nullified. We're actually going to have a crisis. We are going to have, Kenyans cannot hold this together for too long. So I am convinced that the Chief Justice is a player, deliberately or unknowingly, in a judicial coup against the President of the Republic of Kenya. We also, them not come to Parliament for the first time since independence, to the opening of Parliament. I understood that to mean, and I'm a member of Parliament, I understood that to mean that as far as the judiciary is concerned, as far as the Chief Justice is concerned, he does not recognize that Uhuru Kenyatta is president of the Republic of Kenya at this moment in time. Now, nobody had gone to court to challenge the opening of Parliament. So you're left to wonder, on what basis would the judiciary refuse to attend the opening of Parliament? So the only people who have been saying they should not go to Parliament is NASA. So you're starting to ask yourself, are we saying that the Chief Justice and NASA are reading from the same book? If they're reading from the same book, does it mean that the decision to nullify the elections was premeditated? Is that what we're hearing? If it was premeditated because he actually admits he did not manage to go through all the documents he got, then finally, my final position, elections have always been about numbers. Everywhere, whether you're running for school prefect and you're being elected, whether you're running for chairman of the local cattle dip, or member of parliament, or president. It's always been about numbers. The Chief Justice made an interesting ruling, and it's also based on a journal that he wrote a couple of years ago, that the quality of an election is more important than the quantity of that election. Meaning that even if Uhuru Kenyatta got 10 million votes on 17th of October, and then somebody went to court, a voter goes to court, and proves that there was a problem with the process in his polling station, then you can actually nullify that election again. That is a very dangerous precedent that we are setting, because the candidates do not have control over process. They don't have. But then you're telling us that the candidates can keep being punished over and over and over again because of the failures of institutions that have been set up to run an election. I personally think that's unfair. I think it's undemocratic. And so that's why we're here. So we came to we filed a petition seeking leave from the Judicial Service Commission for us to actually come and explain why we believe that Chief Justice Maraga was involved in a judicial coup against President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Several questions arise. Let's start with number one. You're yet to see the full judgment. Isn't this premature to then, argue against a judgment for which you're yet to see in fullness in terms of what informed their arguments, unless you've seen one already?
No, it's not premature because he's already ruled.
Kindly look. But he has not explained.
He's already ruled and nullified an election and ordered another one be done. And that is being done. So a decision was made. So the reasons of the decision notwithstanding, a decision was made. In fact, you've actually raised my issue as well. On what basis did he make that decision? He said that the IEBC, but he told the IEBC to do the next election and told them they were guilty of the last one. Didn't tell them what they had done, and they are now setting up another election that goes in another, 30 days? So my question becomes, and that's why as you read this petition, you'll also see, it's a big picture.
Okay, Ngunjiri, because it's 60 days before an election has to be conducted, and also your indictment is of the Chief Justice. The decision was made by 4 judges, so why only go?
Because as far as I'm concerned, the Chief Justice exerted undue influence on the other 3, because he's the president of the judiciary. I have learned that Justice Ibrahim, what's his second name? The gentleman, Mohammed Ibrahim, had actually wanted to be part of that decision, and Justice Maraga stopped him because he was indisposed. And he was indisposed for 1 day. But he could actually have been part of that decision. So we do not know whether if they had sat as 7 of them, the decision could have been different. Remember, in every group, there's somebody who is able to exert influence over the others. As far as I'm concerned, Chief Justice Maraga exerted undue influence over the other three.
So what are you asking the Judicial Service Commission to do?
First and foremost, Chief Justice Maraga needs to be censored. I believe he has participated in gross misconduct, which is unprofessional. I believe that that gross misconduct is trying to influence an election petition, a presidential election. I believe that... You know, I'm talking to this guy.
It's a challenge. But
I'm talking to this guy.
Yes.
All right. So I believe what I'm actually seeking for is a sitting with the Judicial Service Commission to be able to explain to them why Chief Justice Maraga, first and foremost, should actually not be Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court. Number two, yes.
But that is not the procedure for removing a Chief Justice.
But you start by taking a petition to the Judicial Service Commission. It's his employer. That's the first thing you do. Somebody has asked, why now? Why not now? I mean, is there a particular time?
In 2013, a similar decision was made. We waited for long before we could get a ruling, and we've criticized that ruling. Lawyers have criticized that ruling.
Yes.
What is so different now? The ruling being given and Kenyans waiting for the full judgment to come out.
There's something you guys are failing to understand. You need to. I am dealing with the fact that a decision was made that overturned the sovereign will of 15 million people who voted. Now that decision. When Chief Justice Maraga was introduced, the preamble of his ruling said, we have not been able to read through all these documents. And my question becomes...
They made a decision without reading, with the same formula was followed in 2013.
Yes. But you see now, we have a situation where you have nullified. You have actually taken this country back to another election. Another presidential election. You have created a precedent.
If you nullify, you must also give direction under which circumstance that new election will be conducted.
Yes.
So would you have had it that he nullifies, then we wait for judgment, and the 60-day countdown is on?
No.
How would that have happened?
He had actually himself intimated that he was going to give a comprehensive ruling when he was making that decision. He did not do that. And my question becomes, you made a dramatic decision. You did not explain to us why. We are now in the process as a country, we have stalled. For 2 months, we are going to be doing another presidential election. My question is, so in fact, move away from the decisions, move away from the reasons that he gave. I am challenging the Chief Justice for work that he's been doing for the last 4 years. And as far as I'm concerned, his decision is a culmination of a process of regime change. That is what I am saying. This is just one in a process of regime change. Are we together?
We're having difficulties understanding what you want. Just a minute. We're talking about the opposition to the decisions that have been made.
Yes.
Justice heads the judiciary.
Yes.
He heads an independent
arm of government, yes. That is also part of government.
What sin, what mistake has he committed that is so great that he needs to be removed?
I think that he has allowed the captive, I think he has allowed the judiciary to be taken captive of by individuals. And now we are no longer actually benefiting from judicial independence, as you have called it. What we have is a group of people who have taken captive of the judiciary, and they are forcing it or deliberately taking it in a direction that they believe is what they want as an outcome, rather than what the sovereign will of the Kenyan people want. So look, if the 15 million people voted and Raila had won, for example, and he went and did the same thing, I'd have the same problem. Because what he has done is saying, I am the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya and the President of the Supreme Court. And because I have a problem with how you elected this president, I am going to nullify that election, and you are going to go back again and do it the way I want you to do it. That is not his decision to make. Are we together?
The way he was appointed, because the president and your party, Jubilee, is represented in the Judicial Service Commission. So
yes.
Are you challenging the way he was appointed? The president has the AG here.
My brother, I am not challenging the way he was appointed. I am challenging the way he's conducted himself since he was appointed.
Basically,
yes.
If you could approve in favor of the first, second, and third amendment by not giving the detailed judgment.
Yes.
Would you be seeking for his removal?
You see, this judgment that he's made is what is the, how do you call it? Is a catalyst that shows exactly what it is that he's been trying to achieve. So he has this. We have these NGOs. For example, you will read in the petition and you find about the Judicial Training Institute. That is actually some amorphous body that has been getting funding from international community. That has been determining and predetermining how judges actually rule. This is something that has been happening over the last 4 years. This decision is actually the tip of an iceberg. What I am saying is that the entire judiciary needs to get looked at. But it starts from the top. See, we always say it starts from the top.
But did you just realize these issues now? Because these then are issues you've known for a while that should have come up before you even came to the petition. You should not have trusted the Supreme Court even in coming here for your defense, unless it's an issue that came up after the ruling that now you know about all these civil society organizations being involved.
Let me... Yes, my friend.
Maraga ruled on uphold the president election. Would you still have come to challenge the decision?
Let me tell you something, my friend. The first thing we must accept, the first thing we must understand is that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Kenya does not have, he cannot overturn the sovereign will of the people. Chapter 1 of the Constitution, he cannot do that. Now, this Chief Justice has allowed a clique of people to actually do that. We are challenging him because that is unprofessional and misconduct. A group of NGOs. See, I'm going to give you copies, all of you. You will read. It's a clique.
Which other cases?
And I need to finish.
You're saying this is a progression. Which
Yes.
other cases other than this petition?
We have had a lot of judicial action, including a decision that was made that turned Chebukati from being the chief returning officer of the presidential election to a clerk. That is a decision that was made, where the chief returning officer of the presidential election became the constituency returning officer, rather than the chairman of the IEBC. This is a decision that was made by the court. So, my friends, because I cannot be able to, I will give you this petition. You will allow me to leave. Tafadhali. No,
It's okay. No, hold on.
I have to leave.
Judge Mohammed Ibrahim, you said that you knew he was well. We understand he's still unwell.
I knew he was unwell. He was willing to go and participate in that issue, and he was stopped.
So you know this as Jubilee that he was stopped?
I know this as Ngunjiri Wambugu.
He communicated to you?
My sister, this petition, can you see? It's actually been received.
Yes.
I have asked for an opportunity to come and prove everything I have said here. I have evidence, I have documentary evidence, I can prove what I am saying.
Just last one, Mheshimiwa, you're saying, excuse
Just
me,
hold on.
you give us
This is a very important issue, madam. Please.
I have, but yes.
You are targeting the Chief Justice, but you know that the decision of the Supreme Court was made by 4 against 2 judges. Why Maraga?
Because he is, first, he's the Chief Justice, President of the Supreme Court. 2, I believe he actually exerted, and I said this. You asked me this question, I said it. He exerted undue influence over the others. See, I'm going to prove, my brother.
No, please tell us that one there.
You know, first and foremost, I think we are trying to now prosecute a case that I haven't even gone and put before the Judicial Service Commission. Sure. Remember, I have actually asked for an application. I don't want to prosecute the whole case in front of the media. I want to go and prosecute it to them. Sure. Tuko pamoja. Sasa. See.
All right.
Tuko sa. Asanteni sana for coming.
Ngunjiri Wambugu from
All right, so that's the